Hello, my name's Joan Power. I've been a member of Redeemer King for about the last 3 years, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story. My testimony is not all about bells and whistles, it's just a little story of life. I was born in Duckmanton, a mining village, and I lived with my mum and dad and my 3 brothers. I can't say I was brought up in a religious family because I wasn't. My dad had been brought up as a Methodist as a boy, and my mum Church of England. But at the age of 9, I decided to go to church, and I tried the Methodist chapel, but then I decided to go to Church of England church in Duckmanton, which I really enjoyed. I loved it. And I sang in the choir, which I still enjoy singing now. And I had a lovely group of friends. But then when I was probably about 9 then, I think, 9, 10, then when I was 12, things changed. My brothers had always been into motocross, and as a baby, they'd raced, sidecar, 2 of them. And then they stopped it. And when I was 12, they decided to have another crack at it, to have another go, see how it went. So off they went on a Sunday, my eldest brother Derek and my youngest brother Pete, all over the country with my dad and a friend that we had, all over, up to Scotland, down to London, going off at 5 o'clock in the morning, coming back at 8 o'clock at night, and they was having a wonderful time. So they came back with all the stories of who they'd met and how they got on, and I felt like I was missing out. I think you do as a child, sometimes you think, yeah, that sounds better. So I decided I didn't want to go to church anymore. I'd started my journey with God, but now I wanted to do something else. So to cut a very long story short, off I went with them. On a Sunday morning, travelled all over the country, and this went on till I was about 15 when they packed up again. So then I met Rick when I was 19, who I'm married to now, the dad of Liam and Sophie, and everything was wonderful. But then sadly my dad passed away. Probably 2 years after I met Rick, he died. And then when I was 25, me and Rick got married, and Derek gave us away. And then, just in 1994 and 1995, in 1994 I gave birth to Liam, in 1995 I gave birth to Sophie. But then, sadly, again, something else happened. And when Liam was, I think he was 5, Derek passed away. At the age of 56, he had a massive heart attack, went out one day and didn't come back, which was heartbreaking. He was more like a dad to me than a brother. And it was sad, so sad. But I'd got Liam and Sophie to keep me happy, and things were fine. We got a wonderful family life, and everything was good. The only thing that was tinged a little bit, was the fact that something was wrong with Liam. We knew things weren't right from an early age, but we didn't know what. He was diagnosed at 11 as having dyspraxia. And then when he was 12, he was diagnosed with Asperger's, which I know a lot of you know that now. You know his story, but I'm telling my side of it now. So, yeah, he got Asperger's. And he found out just before he went to Parkside Secondary School, and he went to secondary school. Off he went, and he'd only been there 2 or 3 weeks, and he came back and said, "Oh, I'm going to a youth club tonight." "Oh, who with?" And he told me. "Where at?" "Down the road." "Okay, that's fine. But you're not going on your own. I'm not letting you go somewhere where I don't know people." And he says, "Oh, I'll be all right. No, me and Dad will take you down." So off we went to the Ragged School and took him there. And as we opened the door, I was face to face with Mike Dolby, which I know a lot of you will know Mike Dolby, and I knew Mike Dolby from my work at school. So I says, "Oh, you're fine, Liam, off you go." So that was the start of Liam's journey. That was the day that he walked through that door and God put his hand on him. He needed him at that time. He needed him because he'd had this diagnosis. But what I didn't know, we needed him as well. So off he went. And he went away with them. He went to 24/7. He had a wonderful time. Came back with all the stories. And then 18 months later, Sophie started going. So I suppose that Sophie was there for a couple of years, and they went off to 24/7, which was a week. They went for a week, camping out. up in Wensleydale, and they had a great time. But she came back on the Saturday from the second time she went, and she sat me down, and she says, "Mum, we've been praying for you." I says, "Right, why?" And she said, "Me and Lisa's been praying for you. We've been praying that you'll go to church." And I said, "Okay. Are you going to church tomorrow, Sophie?" She says, "Yeah, me and Liam are going, and it's the celebration of the camp." And I said, "I'll come with you." So Sunday morning came and off I went, and I went with her to church. And that was the start of my journey again. I went to church at Ownbrook Valley, and 2 years later, to almost the date of walking through that church, I was preaching. So my journey had really started again. I'd left God. He'd never left me, even though I thought he had. And when I started to think and I started to pray, I realised that when I left God at 12, I was making memories with my brother and my dad. That had I not made them, had I stayed at church, I wouldn't have made them. My brother singing "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas" in July. My dad being the life and soul and knowing everybody and chatting to him, because that's the sort of person he was. I would have missed that. Was it God's timing? I think so. Looking back now, it was God's timing. And God's timing that Liam found God at 12 and then Sophie. It's not always been an easy journey with Liam having Asperger's, but God's always been there. He's always had his hand on us, and I know that as a family it to be true. And as we're going through this at the moment, through lockdown or whatever other difficulties we're going, it's so easy to forget what God's done for us in the past. It's so easy to forget that he never leaves us. We're his children. He had his hand on me at 9. He's got his hand on me at 57. And he won't ever let me go. And I know that. I know that for sure. And I know there's people out there that have left God, and they just need that little guidance to come back to him. He doesn't leave you. He holds your hand all the way. Right, I'm going to finish this in Liam's way. God bless. Take care. Love, Joan.